Okay, let's talk about something. A habit that, well, a lot of us have, but we don't really talk about it. You might even be a little bit embarrassed by it.
You know exactly what I mean. You're trying to figure out a tough problem, or maybe you're just looking for your keys, and suddenly you start muttering out loud. Come on, we've all done it. But what is really going on there?
I think for most of us, we just write it off as some odd personal quirk, right? Maybe a sign that we're a little distracted, maybe not totally focused. But what if that whole idea is just wrong?
What if talking to yourself isn't a flaw at all? What if it's actually a sign of a super efficient brain hard at work? A genuine intelligence strategy you've been using this whole time, probably without even knowing it. And that's exactly what we're going to get into.
Yeah, believe it or not, there's real science behind this whole thing. We're about to take this common habit out of the "that's a little weird" category and put it right where it belongs in the world of proven cognitive techniques.
It's got a fancy name and everything. In psychology, it's called verbal reasoning. And that's just the formal way of saying it's the process of taking the thoughts inside your head and turning them into actual spoken words. Why? Well, to get them organized way more effectively.
So here's the key thing to understand. This is not just random mumbling. Nope, it's a structured, organized process. It's your brain grabbing onto abstract thoughts and giving them some real shape. Fun fact, some of the biggest thinkers in history, guys like Albert Einstein, were famous for talking themselves through their toughest problems. It's a tool, not a tick.
Okay, so how does this secret weapon of yours actually work? What is physically happening inside your brain when you kick off one of those private monologues? Let's break it down.
It's actually a beautifully simple but really powerful three-step dance. First, some idea or problem pops into your head. Second, instead of just letting it swirl around in there, you give it a voice. You actually say it out loud. And third, well, that's when the magic happens. By speaking, you fire up the language centers of your brain, which forces it to focus and process the info more logically. And that's the secret to why your brain suddenly solves it faster. Which of course brings up the big question, right? Why bother? What's the real tangible benefit, the psychological payoff, for talking our thoughts out into the open air?
Oh, the payoffs here are huge. We're talking about some serious brain-boosting benefits. For starters, it massively increases your mental focus. Saying something out loud just forces your brain to lock onto that one thing. This laser focus, in turn, leads to smarter, more thought-out decisions. And finally, it is one of the absolute best ways to untangle really complex, messy ideas into a nice, clear, logical line.
And this is where it gets really cool, when you put what we think is happening next to what's actually happening. The perception is that you look kind of strange, maybe a little unfocused. But the reality? Your brain is in a state of intense focus. We think it's a sign of distraction, when really it's a tool for getting more clarity. It just flips the whole script.
So what does this all mean for you? It means it's time to stop thinking of this as some weird habit you need to hide and start embracing it for what it is, a form of hidden intelligence. I absolutely love this quote because it just nails it. It validates that whole experience, you know? That moment where you might feel a little self-conscious is actually a moment of peak mental performance. That's your brain in high gear, just doing what it needs to do to get the job done.
So let's make this real. Picture this. The next time you're pacing around your office or your kitchen, talking yourself through some challenge, whether it's big or small,
Don't you dare stop. Don't second-guess it or feel weird about it. Instead, just for a second, recognize it for exactly what it is. A clear, undeniable sign that you have a highly efficient, super focused mind hard at work. You're not being strange, you're being smart.
And, you know, that kind of leaves us with one last thing to chew on. If talking to yourself is really a sign of intelligence, it really makes you wonder, what other so-called quirks or hidden habits do we all have that might actually be our greatest, most powerful strengths in disguise? Something to think about.